This is the biggest. This happened today. Actually, technically started last week. So you guys know they announced, hey, we're supposed to all be pre-ordering today. It's April 9th.
Yeah.
Yours today.
I'm checking my watch. I'm checking my wallet. It's still full. What the heck?
Last week, unfortunate update from GameStop, April 4th, 2 days after we all had our hopes high. Pre-orders for Switch 2 in the U.S. will not start on April 9th, 2025 in order to assess the potential impact of tariffs and the evolving market conditions. Nintendo will update a timing at a later date. The launch date of June 5th is unchanged. They're going to work closely with Nintendo, yada, yada, yada. Okay, cool. For those that don't know, after the thing was announced, the U.S. government was like, hey, we're going to do 46% tariffs against the main country that actually provides the Switch 2 units, which is Vietnam, 49% against Cambodia, which provides the Pro Controller, and a whole bunch of other tariffs for a bunch of other people. And that's why Nintendo was like, oh, shit. And Doug Bowser actually fully admitted in an interview tariffs were never taken into consideration when they made the price. So this really caught Nintendo off guard, and they weren't ready. And here's the thing. You would think it would stop there. You would be like, okay, yeah, well, we're getting all ready to maybe cross the border to Canada, right? We were just talking about it on my stream 2 days ago. I'm 3 hours away from the border. Hop in my car, baby. We're going to Canada. Midnight pre-ordering. And then GameStop Canada. Keep it consistent. Keep it to the GameStop.
Yep.
They come out and they're like, yeah, pre-orders for Switch 2 in Canada will not start on April 9th. Guys, this was less than 4 hours.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
24 hours before pre-orders supposed to start. They will not start, so we can align with the timing of the pre-orders to be determined in the U.S. And we're like, okay, what's going to happen? Lots of speculation, lots of anger out there, lots of whatever. Who really knows? We're not here to get political, but we do have to show one political thing because it is a political topic because there was a huge update today. We'll just go right to the source. Don't get mad at me, people, because this is just where it all comes from. The president of the United States over on his social media said, based on the lack of respect for China, we'll skip over that part because the bottom line is the accessories come from China. We're worried about the system, right? That's what we're really worried about is the system. You can get third-party accessories if you need to get them. But yeah, he does say down here, as we said, conversely, and based on the fact that more than 75 countries have called representatives of the United States, including Departments of Commerce, Treasury, and the USTR, to negotiate a solution to the subjects being discussed relative to trade barriers, tariffs, currency manipulation, non-monetary tariffs, and all the countries have not, at my strong suggest, whatever, retaliated in any way, shape, or form against the United States. I've authorized a 90-day pause and substantially lowered reciprocal tariffs during this period to 10%, effective immediately. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Now, obviously, that's breaking news because 3 months, 90 days, that is after the Nintendo Switch 2 launches. So we know no matter what, 10% is it for the next 90 days. And obviously, there's negotiations happening. The guy from Vietnam was actually in the Capitol Hill today. Don't know if there's any progress made there. This stuff's going to get announced slowly over the next 90 days. Probably be individual.
Can I add one thing?
I'm throwing it to you anyways, buddy. It's all on you.
Okay. Well, I'll let you finish that.
No. We're there, baby. You're the pre-order man. Okay. Go for it.
I could have just waited one more second then.
Yeah, right.
Got chat. The letter T doesn't work on my keyboard, so when it looked like I said a bunch of jitterish, I was trying to type it's just the letter T, but obviously there's a lot of T's in that sentence, so it came out as is just he letter and then nothing. There's no T. So
interesting.
And that's why I said Hanks also because
somebody get this man a new keyboard before pre-orders drop. All right.
Well, I'm obviously not in my usual setup.
Yeah. But, then he'll be ordering Nintendo Switch too.
You have Jake, is it
Nintendo?
Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
Nintendo Switch.
Is it a keyboard with it's just switches, or is it is it like one of those rubber keyboards, like the really cheap keyboards, or does it have like switches really that you can?
Yeah, like from Walmart.
Okay, never mind. I was gonna say if it's like a nicer keyboard with like the switches and stuff, you could maybe swap it with a key that you don't use very often. But never mind. All good.
So the T is literally stuck. Like
down,
How
fun!
And
if you want to rip
it, the heck out of it, and it doesn't
against the wall, and maybe get lucky.
You need stick fix for it?
Stick fix.
Stick fix.
All right. But what I was gonna say about the pre-order stuff, one thing to note with the tariffs is I believe that Vietnam already has a 9%, so it's only a 1% increase, which Nintendo could very much eat. So it's not quite as bad for them.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But yeah, obviously, Prime, you and I made videos today, and you were in my video, and I was in your video. We talked about this, and it's definitely good news. But I'm cautiously optimistic because I don't think Nintendo is going to jump on this and put out an update as fast as they did for the delay, because they're looking at this long term. Like, yes, they want a good launch. It's very important for them to have a good launch and be able to launch in the United States on time, which they haven't talked about delaying the launch date at all, to be fair. But it's getting closer. So we're going to need pre-order sooner, but they're looking at their holiday. They're looking at their year one. They would hate to have to do a price increase. Now, whatever they end up choosing, I'm sure that they're counting on the fact that more negotiations will take place before the 90 days is up that will protect them and be able to keep that price the same in the United States. I fully expect that when it's all said and done, even though we have no confirmation, that the price will be the same. And I think it would take something extreme for that not to be the case. I mean, Trump isn't targeting Nintendo. That's not really what he cares about at the end of the day. And I don't think he would mind making deals to make it easier for them to just get their products over here the same price. They've always been pretty respectful of America. They obviously have a headquarters in America. They just don't manufacture here. So that's the key thing. But this just opens the door. It's like the TikTok ban. It keeps getting pushed back, And I think that at the end of the day, we're going to be okay. But I wouldn't expect a pre-order date to be announced necessarily this week or even next week. They might just need a little more time to work it out.
Yeah. And I'll only bring this up because if you dig further in this, which I did a little bit after the fact, the president did say that certain industries might have like different carve-outs during some of these negotiations. So it's always possible. Consumer electronics, last time he was president, they ended up getting an exemption from the tariffs. Yeah. So that could also be something that comes into play as well. But again, now this isn't happening for a long time, right? We know at least next 90 days, pretty much nothing really changes. Business can kind of go along as normal for the Big N, at least for their primary system here in the US. Because as I said, you can even see it on their own official website. If you go look at the Mario Kart bundle, it literally says it's shipped from Vietnam. That's the country we got to worry about to actually get Switch 2 out. If they have to delay accessories because of the stuff going on in China, that who really knows with that front. And we already got a report from Nintenbyte. Shout out to him. His retail sources. Two big things. The biggest thing is they are telling him, and maybe Jake's heard the same thing, that this is one of the most well-stocked launches they can even remember for a system. Like the number of units they're being told they're going to have for day one. Pretty insane. So that was already kind of a general out there.
The thing about that is it's estimated to have 6 to 8 million consoles worldwide for the launch, which is almost 4 times as many as they had for the Switch 1. It's almost twice as many as they had for the PS5. It's more than they had for the PS5 and Xbox combined when those came out. However, it's still going to sell out. It's still going to be tough to get one. Because even with COVID and all that stuff going on, they made 18 million PS5s year one and sold every single one. And you got to remember that Nintendo's built up the 6 to 8 million stock over several months, possibly up to a year. We don't know exactly how long they've been manufactured, but it's not like they can crank out 6 to 8 million every month. Even when it came to Switch 1, once they were rolling, they never sold, I think the top was, we'll say 30 million is the ceiling. So with 150 million Switch 1 adapters, which the PS4 did not have, it's still, and there's no Xbox that's also launching a console at the same time where people, if they can't get this, might go for that. So there's so many different factors. It's a totally different situation, but I would say expect easier than the PS5 and Xbox launch for sure, but still
quick,
difficult. Yeah. But the pre-order is going to be the best time because, like you said, they have the most stock now. So it's better to try to pre-order one than wait. because during the holiday season, those things will actually be impossible. It'll be harder to get then than it will be now.
Yeah, and we already have there's already data out there from other countries that have launched. It is sold out pretty much in every country that has already read in pre-orders. We've gotten reports out of France and other countries that it's literally a record amount of pre-orders for a video game console launching, which falls in line with what Nintendo heard. Like, yeah, they're gonna have way more units than has ever been seen at the launch of a video game console. Despite that, sellouts within minutes. But the key thing is minutes. Some people said like 5, 10, 15 minutes. Wow. There were things Jake knows firsthand with the PS5. Sometimes it was like 60 seconds, it's gone. You might actually have that 5-10 minute window when pre-orders go live everywhere, or sometimes they're staggered a bit at the retailers. When they go live, you'll have an opportunity. The sites are going to be going wild. There's crashes. Follow Jake Randall. He's got all the tips to get through all this stuff. What to do? Should I delete things from my cart? Should I leave it in my cart? What do I do if it errors out? This happens. It goes nuts because it's millions of people trying to get it.
If you guys want, I can give you a couple just like tips that'll apply to most retailers just real quick. I want to remember these because these will seriously help you out. Yeah. Like Nate said, when the pre-orders go up, the websites get just throttled with so much traffic. They don't function properly. They don't take you to the page you're supposed to. One thing you can do to really help you, if you're lucky to get far enough to put in your payment info, if you use Apple Pay or PayPal, it processes your payment on Apple Pay or PayPal servers as opposed to a credit card, which gets processed on that retailer's website server. So you could use a credit card and check out, but you are increasing your chances exponentially if you use PayPal or Apple Pay. So that's like one thing you just keep in mind. And another tip is several of the retailers use a queue system, and that would be Best Buy, GameStop, and Walmart. And GameStop has just started using the queue system. They announced it like last week, but Walmart and Best Buy have been doing it for a while. And the way that system works is every time you join the website from a different browser on your PC or a different device like an iPad and your phone, every single one of those gets a different place in line. So think of it like a lottery system, and every browser you open gets you another ticket. So instead of just trying to join it on one and having one chance, you join it from 10 different browsers or create virtual browsers. You can have a bunch more tickets. And the only thing with that is extra tabs won't do anything. It'll recognize that as the same source. So it has to be different browsers or different devices. But yeah, I've got tons of tips like this on my channel. So, and on Twitter, I post them too.
Yeah. And I'm
already learning so much.
With these tips is like, you're fighting bots. They're already doing this automatically. Like they have this all set up to be automated.
That's why the queue system's great, Nate, is because even if the bots join instantly, you get a random place. It's a lottery.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I know.
I got go ahead, Flam.
Yeah, I want to ask Nate, Jake, I want to know, one, how does the email through Nintendo specific, like the one that they are planning to send out for people who've played 100 hours and all that kind of stuff, how does that work? And then also, is there a way to like pre-order it so you can pick it up at the Nintendo store in New York and be a part of that midnight release experience, but still have a guaranteed system in your hand at the end of the night?
I don't think they're doing pre-orders for the Nintendo store. I think that's just a line, and the night before they hand out tickets. And if you are one of them, you ban. The pre-order registration that you're talking about, you cannot. I know for a fact because I've read that very carefully. You cannot pick up from Nintendo stores, either New York or San Francisco, through that. That is literally, it will be shipped to you through the Nintendo store. And as you mentioned, the 100 hours of game time, 2 years of continuous online, like having NSO without any lapse. There's a lot of requirements you have to meet. But what's confusing is it lets you apply whether you have those requirements or not, and doesn't tell you if you'll be approved. So I guess there's something on their back end that'll do that. And then those invites get sent out May 8th, which is separate from like when actual pre-orders. This is their own thing. So you can apply to it now. It's on Nintendo's website, and you'll get the email May 8th if you get an invitation. And I believe it gives you 24 hours to purchase. 72. That's 72. Okay. But it's going to be gone in less than 24 hours. You know what I mean? It's
Sure.
if
Yeah.
you wait on that, you're probably not going to get in.
Okay.
I would venture.
Because I anticipate in the United States market that more people will have met the criteria than they have stock.
Yes, and this is the way I've been telling people about this on my live streams. The way to look at this is like a last resort. You didn't get a retail pre-order. There's still an outside shot. You'll get something from Nintendo, so you don't have to try to do like camp out overnight at a Walmart that'll have a few units on hand for launch. Because that happens at a lot of Walmarts where they have just walk-ins when you could buy literally when they open up.
But that's a good point. It sounds crazy, but there's going to be multiple pre-orders through all the retailers.
Yes.
So the biggest drop, like the fat drop, will be the initial one. But as we get closer to launch day, Nintendo will allocate more units to those retailers. So those will get put up. But also people that tried to buy one and their payment didn't go through or canceled, those will get put back up with the new allocated ones. And unlike the initial pre-order drop, those ones will just be random. They won't be synchronized. So different retailers will do it different times. So that's why like following myself, Wario, Lbot on Twitter is good. So you can get posted with those links, or if we know something's going to happen ahead of time, we'll share it. And then the other big one is launch day, because launch day is when a ton of canceled orders, and then when the companies are finally like, okay, any stock any inventory we have, we put it out there. So launch day will probably be like your second best chance, which a lot of people will have given up kind of by that point, which helps you even more because they don't think there's going to be a restock on launch day. And then one more tip for that is obviously people will be looking at midnight for the launch day, but Best Buy typically does Nintendo stuff like that when they launch right after 1 a.m. Eastern time because they're Central time. So I'm telling you, like 1:02 to 1:10 a.m. every time for a Nintendo new product is when Best Buy puts it up. So bookmark that as well.
I've got a question. Oh, go ahead.
This is my last. I'm sorry. I know I was asking. I'm just curious because I do kind of want to be a part of that midnight experience at Nintendo New York. I don't know if any of you have done it before for previous console launches or even just for a game. I mean, obviously it's going to be crazy because it's the Switch.
There's already someone waiting there now.
Exactly. Yeah. But like how much, like, what should you anticipate if someone was to go that route? And do you think like how early and how far in advance, like with showing up the day before, do you think you would be in line and far enough to get a console?
Probably not. New York is a huge city and it's one of 2 Nintendo stores in the United States.
By that time. Yeah.
Yeah, Seattle's gonna have a problem with it too. You're gonna have to be out there.
But yeah.
Oh yeah.
Seattle have a store?
I can't remember. Wherever they're opening, I can't remember.
It's San Diego.
San Francisco.
San Francisco. Sorry.
We're all wrong.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Best Buy, if you pre-order it online from Best Buy, you can pick it up at midnight on launch day. You can go in, grab it. But that's also a way that you could like go to the Nintendo store after. And even if you're not buying it from there, like be part of that culture. Like, I don't think you necessarily have to buy one from the store to experience that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I assume you could just buy like all there wouldn't be a line necessarily for peripherals and stuff like all the extra stuff and things like that. It would just be mostly like the console itself.
Maybe this.
Yeah, that's.
But you got to get that pretty early.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy that on Amazon prior. Yeah.
Yeah, I've already got mine ordered near end of the month. So they
sorry.
Nintendo also noted that while the system has more stock than ever, the accessories and the physical games do not. Those will just be those are probably like the official Nintendo stuff and the physical games. Those could be experiencing potential sellouts on launch day as well, or sellouts in pre-order. So especially if you're like a physical one and you want it day one, these things are going to be restocked, absolutely. But you want it day one, that's going to be almost even harder to get. But obviously, you want to try to get the system, then focus on the game.
Yeah. So I had a question, and I think you briefly went over this, Nate, but I just wanted to get clarification. It's been a busy day, so today I haven't been able to catch up as much on some of the news surrounding pre-orders in other countries where there's been no delay. Were you saying that the pre-orders were gone within a minute to 5 minutes in all those other countries, or what was the the word around town for
five,
that?
5 to 15 minutes, and all the reports are saying it was a record number of pre-orders for a console.
Oh wow!
In the country.
Do we know if there was a big bot issue?
Australia is the only country that had actually stayed up for like a week.
Oh
wow!
In Australia.
Do we know if there was a huge bot issue with pre-orders, or I assume I assume it was part of the problem. I'm just curious.
Look, that's going to depend on country to country for scalping reasons. There's different laws in different countries around that stuff. I also know that some people in my audience were busy pre-ordering overseas to get it shipped here for the few retailers that ship to the U.S. And even though I think it was like Amazon UK came out and said, "Oh, we're going to cancel any orders being shipped to the U.S." because they're worried about scalpers. That's what they're worried about. They want it to go to real consumers. But a bunch of my people that I know in my audience are like, they didn't cancel my order. So that played a role too, because everyone in the U.S. is like, we're worried that not only will pre-orders not go up, there is that concern of it not actually coming out on June 5th here, while it's June 5th the rest of the world, and people don't want to miss out. So other countries are getting slammed as well from just international being like, hey, we're worried we're not even going to get a chance. So we're going to try. So that's
like, here's the thing, like, don't do that to countries that are getting less allocated to them than the U.S. is going to when we get them. It's not a nice thing. You know what I mean? Like, let the British gamers. I know they're annoying, but let the British gamers get their Switch and let us get ours. But I gotta say, Amazon definitely does not care about the bots. They like actively just like don't do anything to prevent them, and they probably care more about being seen as circumventing tariffs by like letting people. That because you can buy other products, on Amazon UK and they ship no problem. So I'm sure they care, but not for the scalper reasons. And it's for that reason I actually don't think Amazon US is going to be allowed to sell the Switch 2. So like they just botched it so much with Xbox and PS5. And I think Nintendo actually really cares about that kind of thing because to Nintendo, they want to sell software. And if it's going to scalpers that are hoarding tons and tons of consoles, those consoles aren't purchasing software. And especially the early adopters, they want to purchase their software.
To double down.
It's been going around that Amazon US has lost the rights to sell the console, at least for launch.
Yeah. To add to that as well, just based on some things I have heard, even though pre-orders could potentially even be up next week. We'll see. The thing is with Amazon, there's still that concern, even if they keep the prices, which is what I predict is going to happen. I think they're just going to keep the prices and everything's going to be basically as if nothing happened, besides just delaying when we pre-order. I think a key thing to consider in this is that Nintendo does still concern themselves with the fact that, but 4 or 5 months from now, there could be higher tariffs. And we need people to be able to buy software. That's huge because software, like digital, isn't subject to the tariffs. So like it's a big thing for Nintendo to get these in people's hands because when or if tariffs hit that make that $450 no longer profitable for them and it's a loss on every console sale, hey, it doesn't matter because we now have a big enough install base where the software sales are more than making up for that. So it's really important, especially at launch. Nintendo really, really wants this in as many actual consumers' hands than scalpers. So going with the retailers they can trust to at least, you can't stop it, but can limit or at least make it so their chances are as good as a real person. That's the way to kind of look at that. I also know, I believe GameStop, you got to have a pro membership. I'm pretty sure.
You don't actually.
You don't this
time?
Oh,
really?
Really? They'll probably start doing it when it actually launches for restock.
After launch
but
day.
For whatever reason, all the places that normally do something, Walmart normally makes you do like Walmart Plus, Best Buy has stuff. They all like announced that that none of that stuff was going to apply, which I was like, okay, good. That's how it should be.
Then that could have been Nintendo telling them, hey, you want units, you can't. No paid memberships for launch. No paid memberships.
Yeah, and you know what, Nate? This is a really important point you just reminded me of. Is that for other console launches like PS5 or whatever, retailers would drop early. Like Sony gave a pre-order date and Walmart dropped a week early, like right after the state of play back in 2020. They just don't care. However, Nintendo gave that date of April 9th, and Walmart didn't drop right after the Direct.
Nobody did.
They held. So people don't need to freak out about the pre-orders happening unexpectedly, because now that we have this information from what just happened, we're going to get advance notice of pre-orders for sure. So people shouldn't panic. Just, keep yourself posted with what's going on, and you should be notified.
I think that's a big fear for people, that they just drop pre-orders now. But getting notice is huge. Go ahead, Prem. Sorry.
One question for Jake, because this is something I don't know. I know Costco eventually gets units, but they don't do the pre-order thing for launch. Do you think they're going to have units day one for members, or is it going to be something that's like a week or two later?
Costco, honestly, I'm not too sure about. I mean, Kohl's had PS5s at launch. It was super random. So
I believe they're a member only place to shop.
Is game. I mean, Sam's Club was really clutch for the PS5 restocks over the years. They're obviously owned by Walmart, which is weird because there were certain drops where Walmart couldn't fulfill all the orders, but then Sam's Club would drop and fulfill all of them. So it was a little confusing. But yeah, all those niche ones like Costco, Micro Center, they're going to get some stock too, for sure. I mean, think about it. If those places got PS5s during COVID when there was only 4.5 million units at launch, you think they're not going to get any Switch 2s when they're almost twice as much?
Oh, yeah.
So look out for all of those, for sure.
What about Kmart?
I was thinking Radio Shack.
Dude,
Toys R Us.
Streams, the biggest thing to spam in the chat is Kmart just dropped. Or just McDonald's just dropped.
Yes.
Wild.
Cabbages.
If you're in my
Cabbages?
chat, don't do that. It's not funny.
Pennies, guys. Go to J Pennies.
Guys, did you hear Blockbuster is selling Switch 2s?
Don't
Hey,
do that.
What
Sears is
about
back.
KB Toys?
Yep.
Oh, there we go.
Dude, KB Toys is my spot.
Oh, that was so awesome. Yeah.
Also, this is also just something you guys always have to check locally. There are times that mom and pop shops will get a handful at launch, so that's just something to pay attention to as well. Their stock sometimes comes after launch based on my local
I've
store.
actually been doing recon on mom and pop shops, and I've got good relationships, so they would tell me.
Yeah.
And none of mine have any lead on that, and they've gotten some rare stuff before. They were able to order Final Fantasy 16 controllers, which were a Japan exclusive.
Yep.
The dual sense. Yeah. So they get the in on some good stuff, and none of them have anything. So
yeah, but guys, I also remember we're not. What was I going to say? The mom and pop shop here that we have, they didn't know until 4 days before PlayStation 5 launched that they were actually going to have 10 units. They had no idea.
Wow.
It just showed up at the store.
Obviously, my story too is just anecdotal, right? Who knows?
Yeah. So So that's what I said. It's always good to check with them. If they're a really, really big one, maybe they know. Maybe they're even getting ready to take pre-orders. Or if it's a smaller one, maybe they're like, hey, sometimes we get lucky. We tell them we want it. Sometimes they send us something. We just don't know. We kind of find out on launch week. So that's just another last minute place to check out when your pre-orders are basically done. It's launch week. Okay, do I have a shot here? Should I maybe call Costco and see if they're going to have any on day one for members? Should I, go camp out at Walmart? All that stuff. I know everyone has FOMO. I get it, but it's also just to know, guys, it's okay to not have it day one. I think this is going to be a frequently restock system. I think you're gonna see stock weekly. I think for a little bit. Nintendo's got a plan, but we'll see.
Yeah, and you know what? The great way to look at it is yes, if you don't get it on launch day, you're not playing Mario Kart World yet. But really, there's not a ton of games to come out. And we'll get Donkey Kong in July. So I wouldn't stress too much. And if you get it down the road, that just means you have more to play. So if you get it in August or September, all of a sudden, instead of only having Mario Kart to play, you have all these great games to start playing. That's what I did with the Switch 1 because I didn't have the money to buy it at launch. So when I got my Switch, I was able to play Breath of the Wild, Mario Odyssey. I got it right when Smash came out. And, it was more magical because of that. So don't like just try every time, and then if you don't get it, you won't beat yourself up. But you know, if one of those times that you go for it, you get it, you're good.
Cool. Does anyone else have any more questions for Jake before we go to our next topic?
I'd like to just add to that.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people have been asking me where I'm planning on pre-ordering, right? Like if I could have the choice of any place, if I could get the Switch 2 at any of these places, where to pre-order. And I'm sure you guys all know, Jake, I know you know, about that $20 cashback or gift card from Best Buy for every $150 spent on Nintendo merch.
That's if you're a paid member.
Yeah, the plus or whatever the program is. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you know, if you're buying a Switch 2 and you're buying games and you're buying accessories, it would pay to be a $49.99 member, because you're going to probably get the maximum, which is $100 back, is the way I was looking at it. I'm already a member because, you know, I took advantage of those buy 2 get 1 free Switch games, which they did quite a few times.
Yep.
And they let you lock in pre-orders too on that. Like what's funny is I still have probably 4 or 5 games pre-ordered from the buy 2 get 1 free. And I think they haven't done it in like probably 9 to 12 months, but I still have games that haven't came out yet. So
Wow.
Between that and then obviously Jake, you already mentioned it too, but you know, the midnight launch, the way I read the PR statement was that it was the midnight launch, and they said Eastern time, midnight. So for me, right, like I can get it at 9 p.m. here in Arizona, which is badass. So let me ask you this, Jake. Do you know if the website's working yet?
Local time, isn't it?
It said Eastern time.
It says
Oh,
Eastern
okay,
time on the
cool.
website. Yeah. But I would always
took it down. Did they take it down now? But
I don't know.
Yeah, but they said Eastern time. That's
pre-order it at Best Buy for in-store pickup because you guys are going midnight launch. Just call the store.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Target will do pickup on launch day too, but just when they open, not at midnight.
Yeah. Best Buy announced publicly that hey, they're doing this special midnight launch. They don't always do it because they know they're going to have a shit ton of pre-orders and people want to do that whole midnight thing. So that, by the way, if I get a midnight launch unit at me and Eric both get a midnight launch unit at Best Buy. Oh baby, we're doing a camp out stream.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going old school camp outs. Let's do it.
I'll be streaming all night, dude. I would love to like FaceTime you and have you come
Absolutely,
on.
Yeah. Streaming, baby.
I think there's a good chance I'll be doing the same. I mean, been doing it since GameCube. It would feel weird to not do it now.
Oh yeah.
Right. Even if it's just to get it at 9 o'clock, I don't care. It's just, it's fun, right? Like for anyone who hasn't done it, whether you're on the show or like in chat, if you have the opportunity to camp out, it's one of the greatest experiences. You're with a bunch of people that are like-minded. They're super excited. You can literally feel the hype. You can feel the energy. It's a lot of fun. And just, you know, go online, hang out, pull up Jake on the live stream, man. It'd be a good time. It's always a good time.
And it also just makes it way more memorable, right? Like if you just have it arrive from Amazon or whatever in a box and you set it up, that's gonna be great. You're gonna have a system, but the event and the memory is something that you're gonna think about forever. And the Switch was my first midnight launch, and I remember lining up there, having my 3DS, being at the last. I was like, "This is the last time I'm gonna use this." Of course, that wasn't true, but that's something that I still think about. And how I got the last. They were handing out things. It was like. I got the last colored Joy-Con one, and everyone else after me got it.
Oh, yeah.
Gray Joy-Con. And my friend was right behind me. He was so jealous, but it was just like, it was a memory. So I can't wait to do that again. Of course, I'm going to jump at any opportunity to be there on opening night.
Yeah, it's so much fun. Like, I'll just tell this quick story so we can move on, because I know everyone probably wants to talk about games. But last week, I went out to get some cigars with my friend Matt, who I'm one of his groomsmen for the wedding. So he actually... it was to give us the groomsmen gifts and talk to us about the tuxes and all that. And Matt was with me when we camped out for the GameCube when I was a junior in high school. I mean, I'm turning 40 in less than a month. You know, this was a long time ago. And I brought it up to him. I also was telling him how I was going to the Switch 2 thing. And he's like, "Oh my God, like you're so lucky." And it was just funny because we're reminiscing about camping out for GameCube. I'm like, it's crazy, dude, that like here we are, about to turn 40. Some things never change. And it's just so much fun. It's like one of those core memories you'll always have, right? Whoever you camp out with, that's something that you'll have that memory for the rest of your life. So I highly recommend doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Before we completely move on, my last thing to say is don't just focus on one place to pre-order that you want to pre-order. Try everywhere. And honestly, even if you secure a pre-order, keep trying in other places and cancel all of them except the first one that actually ships and give you tracking, or unless you're doing in-store pickup. But honestly, I've seen people get it and then have it canceled on them. It happens often, especially with pre-orders, but it'll even happen with restocks. So try to get it anywhere that you can actually get in and get your pre-order. And then, like I said, just cancel your extras as soon as one is actually confirmed.
That's a good tip.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Of course, this assumes, guys, that you can afford it because a lot of the places want your money up front. But
actually, no. The only one that will charge you up front
Target
it's Best Buy. They will do a pending authorization where they check to see if you have the money in your account, and then they will return it to you later that day. But if you don't have the money in your account, they'll cancel it.
Well, cool. Because Target,
and then a lot of people get confused and think they get charged that day, and then when they takes their money out when it ships, they don't have it. So that's how that works. But the other ones won't unless you pre-order in person at GameStop, which is also a really good option. It's the only in person.
Very good option. Yeah.
Pre-orders.
You get the in person,
and you can do the trade in.
Yeah, they have trade in too. Yeah.
All right.
Of course. You might want to do a full system transfer though. I don't know if you want to trade it in right away. Anyways.
Well, if you're like me and you get like 4 switches,
Well, no, all of us just are a pile of switches sitting next to them, or a pile of Switch 2s. Anyways.
Whoa.
Whoa now.
Hey, hold on. Doug Bowser's coming for you.
I wonder if John Ebo's gonna pull out all those switches that he put in the trash and trade them in. What do you think?
Well, this is why I'm not invited to the events, because I was going to grab this and try to hot swap it.
Dude,
hot swap. See what happens.
I have to go, so at least I will no longer be monopolizing. I just get excited when we talk about pre-order stuff. I have a lot of fun with it.
Literally the topics for you, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I
you're the only one who knows anything about this.
It was great. All of you guys. It was also great to see the chat. I know, I know everyone here, and it was really fun. And hopefully, when pre-orders get announced, we'll be back on maybe next week, maybe the week after. But I will stay the whole time next time I'm on for sure.
Yeah, we'll see. Watch pre-orders our podcast night. We're like, we don't know about that. He's got a job to do.
They won't launch at night. It'll be during business hours. It could be at midnight, but it won't launch after 5 p.m.
1:02 a.m.
That's for launch day. Launch day.
All right, Jake. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Tease in chat for Jake.
Oh yeah.
Tease in chat.
Everyone else, type the tease. Make sure you capitalize
the middle finger.
Capitalize.
You know how the middle finger was invented because French archers they were cutting off the middle fingers so they couldn't fire their bows, and so to taunt them they would show them their middle finger that it wasn't cut off, and that's what you guys are doing with these tees. All
right, Jake. Well, thank you so much for being here, man. We'll catch you on the next stream when the pre-orders are happening. That's what matters.
All right, thank you. You're always
cheers, man.
Big end to me, Nate. All right.
Nah. All right.
Bye, guys.
Keep it 2 inches.
Always.